Learn to read object values dynamically inside a for-in loop using brackets notation. In this lesson, we want to look at how you can combine for-in and brackets notation to access values. Now, I already said that there are two ways to access object properties. Number one is the dot notation, and the second one is the bracket notation. Now, with objects, you can use for-in loop to grab all the property labels or the key from an object. But what happens when you need to print the actual data value that is stored inside those labels? And this is where bracket notation shines, because the loop stores the changing key name inside a variable. Dot notation won't work in a situation like this. By passing that variable directly to square brackets, you can dynamically unlock and read every single piece of that data in the object automatically. And let me show what I mean in this example. So let's move into our script section and let's make our plain text my data. You can call it anything. And then make it something like this. So this is a JSON string. As you can see, the single quote outside before the curly braces. And now I need to pass it to turn it into an object. So let's say post obj. So just call the JSON pass method and pass my data inside it. Now that I have this there, let me make another variable called text and give it an empty value. So this is going to hold the value of my loop once I use the for-in loop over the object. So I can go ahead and then loop over what I have. Const obj. Then my text plus equals obj. And now this is where the bracket notation comes into play. And then I can pass in the value of my head and then add a comma after each of it. Now, if you look closely at what we have here, there's no rule that says this place should be M. It could be anything. You can put X, you can put R, but in my case, I'm just using M for the purpose of this example. So it can be anything. So we are basically saying look for the value of M inside object. And once you get it, use bracket notation to access it. So I can then go ahead to output what the result should be. And now you should see Turkish rate 5 and none, which corresponds to the value of what I have here. You can see the name has a key value of Turkish rate, age is 5, and the cost has a value of none. Now, if I add another property, let's say I had city to what I currently have, and the city now is Lagos. So this as well should come up in my output, and you can see Turkish rate 5, none, and Lagos. Now, if I try the same thing with dot notation, it should not work. And this is one of the advantage that the bracket notation has over the dot notation. You can see how easily we are able to make use of it to access the values that is contained inside our object. So this example shows how the script loops through the past objects, which is my data. In each rotation, the variable M holds a different key name. It holds the name, age, cost, and then city. So by writing this, obj bracket M, the script dynamically fetches the value Turkish rate 5, none, and Lagos, joins them together and prints them on the screen. So what we are basically doing here, this is the part where we are actually looping over our object. So this starts the loop. The variable m acts as a placeholder that changes on every turn, holding the string name, age, course, and city. And here text plus equals objm plus comma. This perform the dynamic lookup. So turn 1, m is going to be our name. Turn 2, m is going to be our age. At turn 3, x is going to be our course. At turn 4, m is going to be our city. So this is how it will continue to change dynamically. And once that is completed, then the text is going to hold those values, and Dina.html is going to write it into the DOM to display it on the screen for us. Now, the problem here is that the problem with dot notation in this kind of scenario is that if you try and do something like this, dot n, now you can see undefined, 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 undefined. So JavaScript will literally look for a key that is named n inside the JSON data. So once it fails to find this m inside our JSON data, then it will return undefined, and it's the purpose why you are seeing undefined, undefined simultaneously. And that is one of the limitations of dot notation as against bracket notation in a scenario like this. So let me revert back, and then we should have what we used to have before. Here are a few key takeaways from this lesson. Number 1, you must use bracket notation wherever the key name you are trying to read is stored inside a variable. Number 2, notice that inside the loop, which is this part, it is written as obj open and close bracket n without quote around the end. You can see that we are not doing something like this time around. So let's see what will happen if we do something like this. You can see undefined, undefined, undefined. This tells JavaScript to use the value stored inside the variable. That is the reason why we are not using quotes around it, and that is why that is the reason why it should be able to fetch this value. With the quote, it will return undefined. And lastly, this combination is the easiest way to quickly dump or process all the values of our unpredictable JSON objects.